Now, in Arthur Smith's most recent press conference, he talked a little bit about how you prepare for that Buccaneers offense. Of course, you're going to have Tom Brady and you're going to have Mike Evans on the scouting report. That's a given. But also, you have to kind of take into consideration Chris Godwin and Russell Gage in terms of how Dean Pease offense or defense rather is going to be preparing for the Bucs offense. So I look at that and I think to myself about what they faced with the Saints, right? You're
Right.
talking about a Michael Thomas, a Chris Olave, for example, if we're talking about the passing game. And
Right.
then with the Seahawks, they had to deal with the DK Metcalf. And then, of course, with Cleveland Browns, although they were able to keep David Njoku in check, they still had to deal with him. So now you have this wide receiver room for starters and even their tight end room as well. There with Cameron Brate. Is this the biggest test, Jarvis? When we look back, for me, I don't think it's the biggest test at all. I think they've actually had several big tests this season so far that are indeed bigger than what we will see or what they will see in the Bucs receiving core and tight end core come Sunday.
You know what? To be honest with you, I think that just from a weapon standpoint, I think it's
Mhm.
kind of a push. But when
Could
you
be.
throw Tom Brady into the conversation, I think that's what adds to it, right? Because one of the things that when you play in the NFL for so long, and which Tom Brady has done and been so successful, there aren't too many things that you can throw at him like, oh yeah, this cover four is really going to get him. Like
Right.
he's never seen that before. That's not going to be the case in this particular game. That's why I think that when you add Tom Brady to that equation, I think he's the guy that kind of pushes it over the top for me. And I think that when you talk about those things, that's when you say, hey, we know what we do. We're going to do what we do. And it's not about throwing him off. It's not about throwing him certain protections or not protections, but certain pressures at him that we know is going to get him. Oh yeah, this got him right here on tape. No, that's not going to necessarily happen. It's going to be about playing your techniques, knowing your keys, knowing your reads, and let the chips fall where they may. That's why I think that this particular game is going to be a big one for AJ Terrell, because like we talked about last week, as far as what he did with Amari Cooper, 1 catch for 9 yards. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about what he did last week. He shut down a really good wide receiver in the NFL, a good productive guy.
Yeah.
Now, we're gonna have to figure out whether or not AJ Terrell is going to follow Mike Evans, or is he going to be on Chris Godwin? We know Chris Godwin has gave the Falcons defense all type of hell in the past. We know that for a fact, like over 200 yards type of So I think those are some of the things that Dean Pease is going to have to figure out. But I do think for AJ Terrell, he's going to have to say, if you want to put a stamp on, hey, I'm that dude, you don't have to say it. All you got to do is just go out there and say, if Coach P say, hey, I want you to follow Mike Evans, or I want you to lock him up, or every time you on his side, we're playing man coverage and we're going to figure out the rest on the other side, you better be ready to go.
I think that I'll give it a push, but I still don't think it's the biggest challenge of the season, because now we're talking about week 5 and we're talking about the Falcons getting better and better and better. And I'm going to go in the opposite, or I'm going to go slightly off the beaten path with, yes, the sack numbers may not be quite there, but when we looked at what they did from week 1 and continuing to progress, they are bringing pressure. They are almost getting home. And we all know that when you think about the losses that Tom Brady has had, when you think about the drubbings, it usually is when you get to him early and you get him off his timing and you keep him there. And I feel like one thing about this Falcons defense is they have gotten better and better and better in hurrying the quarterback, better and better and better in getting some QB hits, if you will. Exactly. That's why I think that this isn't necessarily the biggest game of the season, not so much because they're going to completely neutralize Tom Brady, but AJ Terrell, in all honesty, along with the entire secondary, they won't have nearly as much of a struggle or a challenge if Tom Brady can't get that ball out on time, if that ball can't be thrown accurately, if they can somehow, the Falcons defense can force him into a check down or to his third receiver, right?
Right. Yeah.
At that point, now you're talking about at least forcing third and longs and maybe making it harder for him to move the chains. And that is where you get into a situation where you give the Falcons a chance to win. So I do think that because the defense has shown themselves to be able to do that more and more, better and better, you and I are calling different names. every week. Yeah, we're calling Grady Jarrett, but we called Joe Carter last week. Before that, we called Arnold Ebiketie.
He had a good game too.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. So when we keep calling different names in that starting 11, I think that's super positive for the Falcons. I'm going to give them that slight advantage because they are trending up. And then you know what else I like? Granted, we do not know, A, if he is going to play, and B, I doubt seriously that we see him start. But if they can get back Isaiah Oliver and get some of that versatility from him, especially with their nickel packages, now we're talking about now the Falcons have something to play with. And don't get me wrong, we're still at this point. As you know, he just came off of IR. I just practiced for the first time Wednesday. So we don't quite know if we're going to see him. But if we do, Jarvis,
You're talking about 21 days till they have to figure out whether or not they're going to put them on the active roster. So, definitely going to have to keep an eye on that. But I think you make an excellent point, T. Tom Brady is the goatness that he is. You know, I'm just making up words when it comes to him because that's what you got to do. I think that his kryptonite, his kryptonite has been that pressure up the middle. And what have we seen this year? Grady Jarrett is on his way to being that all-pro type, Pro Bowl type season.
Back to it.
And guess who his tag team partner is? Taquon Graham. That dude has been having that.
Thank you, Jarvis. Thank you.
He is on it. He is on it this year. And I think that, wow. Yeah, I'm really excited about, because Grady even talked about Taquon Graham in the preseason about what he's been able to do. He affectionately refers to him as TQ. And, he said this guy's putting the work. And you know what? A lot of people thought it was just, hey, he's just pumping his teammate up. Absolutely not. Taquon, go and check out the film. Taquon Graham has been doing his absolute thing. And I think that to get that pressure, not necessarily get home, if you can get that push up the middle like they've been doing, like Tom, the Falcons will continue to get better. And just check this off as another, stacking those good games as the Falcons organization always talks about.
And the other thing I think is this: we kind of saw it last week, and we've kind of seen it a couple times. If you paid any attention to the Bucs, especially in their losses, you've seen those other teams make those halftime adjustments and just tweaks, by the way. And I would put my money on Dean Pease being able to make the appropriate tweaks on defense to do what he needs to do. And listen, I got to tell you, I saw this yesterday, and I started to send it to you, and I was like, you know what? Nope, we'll save it for the air.
Yeah.
There have been so many articles and tweets and drops about Arthur Smith's decision to run that ball 14 times in a row and 10 times on one drive. The reason I bring that up is two things. Number one, yes, this is a pass-happy league, but this is also a league where if you can get your run game off the ground and you can stay committed to it, it's going to yield results. So I like that possibility. And I also love that we saw just a few tweaks on the offensive side, that being one of the main tweak in that second half that really got the Falcons the win last week. And I think could potentially put them in position to get the win this week. Now, speaking of wins, if you or someone you know or someone you love wants a Built Bar, they're probably going to win. Why? Because Built Bars are just ultimately not just a delicious snack, but also a snack that is going to be healthy for you. So right now they're rolling out the puff, and the puff is really, it's like, think about 100% real chocolate and think about something like floaty, marshmallowy, if you will. That's a Built Bar. But the thing that you got to love most about it is the fact that you're only taking in 160 calories per bar, and yet you are getting 15 grams of protein. That's a good look, especially if you know this show, you know that ATL Day Ones is all about healthy. So if you want to check it out, go to built.com. You're going to see a code, right? And that code is going to be locked on, and that's going to get you 15% off for your first order. So again, check that website out, put that code in, and get your percentage off because you deserve to absolutely be healthy with a Built Bar, a Built Puff, and you can join us in the healthy movement with Built.